Hey, what's up you guys? It's Ruthie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're going to go into part 2 of chapter 26 of Marked by PC Cast and Kristen Cast. So let's get right into this video. This video may contain sensitive topics and foul language. If you do not wish to continue, I suggest you click off the video now. You have been warned. No, Zoe, it's been a really bad day. Everyone's stressed, plus Aphrodite is going to get you. It makes sense that we should stick together tonight, Damien said logically. Yeah, it was logical, but they didn't know the whole story. I didn't want them to know the whole story, yet the truth was I cared too much about them. They made me feel accepted and safe. They made me feel like I fit in here. I couldn't risk losing that right now, not when all of this was still so new and so scary. So I did what I learned to do well at home when I was scared and upset and didn't know what else to do. I got pissed and defensive. You guys say that I have powers that will someday make me your high priestess. They all nodded eagerly and smiled at me, which squeezed my heart. I gritted my teeth and made my voice real cold. Then you need to listen to me when I say no. I don't want you there tonight. This is something I have to deal with alone, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. And then I stomped away from them. Naturally, within half an hour, I was sorry I'd been so awful. I paced back and forth under the big oak that had somehow become my sanctuary, annoying Nala and wishing that Stevie Ray would show up so I could apologize. My friends didn't know why I didn't want them there. They were just looking out for me. Maybe they would understand about the blood thing. Eric seemed to understand. Okay, sure, he was a fifth former, but still, we were all supposed to go through it. We were all supposed to start craving blood or we died. I brightened a little and scratched Nala's head. Well, the alternative is death. Blood drinking doesn't seem so bad, right? She purred, so I took that as a yes. I checked the time on my watch. Crap. I had to go back to the dorm, change my clothes, and go meet the Dark Daughters. Listlessly, I started following the wall back. It was cloudy night, but I didn't mind the darkness. Actually, I was starting to like the night. I should. It was going to be my element for a very long time if I lived. As though she could read my morbid thoughts, Nala meowed grumpily at me as she trotted along beside me. Yeah, I know. I shouldn't be so negative. I'll work on that right after Nala's low growl surprised me. She stopped. Her back was arched and her hair was standing on end, making her look like a fat little puffball, but her slitted eyes were no joke, and neither was a ferocious hiss that snaked from her mouth. Nala, what? A terrible chill fingered its way down my spine even before I turned to look in the direction that my cat was staring. Later, I couldn't figure out why I didn't scream. I remember my mouth opening so I could gulp air, but I was absolutely silent. It seemed I'd gone numb, but that was impossible. If I'd been numb, there's no way I could have been so thoroughly petrified. Elliot was standing not 10 feet from me in the darkness that shadowed the space next to the wall. He must have been heading in the same direction Nala and I were walking. Then he heard Nala and half turned back toward us. She hissed again at him. In a frighteningly quick movement, he rolled around to fully face us. I swear I couldn't breathe. He was a ghost. He had to be, but he looked so solid, so real. If I hadn't watched his body rejecting the change, I would have thought he was just looking especially pale and weird. He was abnormally white, but there was more wrong with him than that. His eyes had changed. They reflected what little light there was and glowed a terrible rust red, like dried blood, exactly as the ghost of Elizabeth's eyes had glowed. There was something else different about him, too. His body looked strange, thinner. How was that possible? The smell came to me then, old and dry and out of place, like a closet that hadn't been opened in years or a creepy basement. It was the same smell I'd noticed just before I'd seen Elizabeth. Nala growled and Elliot dropped into an odd half-crouch and hissed back at her. Then he bared his teeth and I could see that he had fangs. He took a step toward Nala as if he was going to attack her. I didn't think, I just reacted. Leave her alone and get the hell out of here. It mazed me that I sounded like I wasn't doing anything more exciting than yelling at a bad dog, because I was definitely scared, totally shitless. His head swiveled in my direction and the glow of his eyes touched me for the first time. Wrong. The intuitive voice inside me that had been familiar was screaming, "This is an abomination. You," his voice was horrible. It was raspy and guttural, as if something had damaged his throat. "I will have you." And he began to come toward me. Raw fear engulfed me like a bitter wind. Nala's battle yowl rent the night, and she hurled herself at Elliot's ghost. In complete shock, I watched, expecting the cat to go splitting and clawing through an empty air. Instead, she landed on his thigh, claws extended, scratching and howling like an animal 3 times her size. He screamed, grabbed her by the scruff of her neck and threw her away from him. Then, with impossible speed and strength, he literally leaped to the top of the wall and disappeared into the night and surrounded the school. I was shaking so hard that I stumbled. "Nala," I sobbed. "Where are you, little girl?" Puffed up and growling, she padded over to me, but her slitted eyes were still focused on the wall. I crouched beside her and with shaking hands checked to make sure she felt all in one piece. She felt unbroken, so I scooped her up and began jogging away from the wall as fast as I could. "It's okay, we're okay. He's gone." "What a brave girl you were." I kept talking to her. She perched halfway on my shoulder so that she could see behind us and continued to growl. When I got to the first gaslight not far from the rec hall, I stopped and shifted Nala's position so that I would look more closely to see she was really okay. What I found made my stomach clench so hard that I thought I was going to throw up. On her paws was blood, only it wasn't Nala's, and it didn't smell delicious like the other blood had smelled. Instead, it carried a scent of musty dryness and old basements. I forced myself not to retch as I wiped her paws on the winter grass. Then I picked her up and hurried down the sidewalk that led to the dorm. Nala never stopped looking behind us and growling. Stevie Ray, the twins, and Damien were all conspicuously absent from the dorm. They weren't watching TV, they weren't in computer room or the library, they weren't in the kitchen either. I climbed quickly up the stairs, hoping desperately that at least Stevie Ray would be in our room. No such luck. I sat on my bed, petting the still distraught Nala. Should I try to find my friends or should I just stay here? Stevie Ray would eventually come back to our dorm. I looked at her grating Elvis clock. I had about 10 minutes to get changed into the rec hall, but how could I go on to the ritual after what just happened? What had just happened? A ghost had tried to attack me. No, that wasn't right. How could ghosts bleed? But had it been blood? It didn't smell like blood. I had no idea what was going on. I should go directly to Nefret and tell her what had happened. I should get up right now and take myself and my freaked out cat to Nefret and tell her about Elizabeth last night and how Elliot tonight. No. This time it wasn't a scream within me. It was the strength of certainty. I could not tell Nefret, at least not at the moment. "I have to go to the ritual," I said out loud, the words that were echoing through my mind. I have to be at this ritual. As I pulled on the black dress and searched around the closet for my ballet flats, I felt myself becoming very calm. Things hadn't played by the same rules as they did in my old world, in my old life, and it was time I accepted and that started getting used to it. I had an affinity for all 5 elements, which meant that I had been gifted with incredible powers by ancient goddesses. As Grandma had reminded me, with great power comes great responsibility. Maybe I was being allowed to see things like ghosts that didn't act or like the smell or ghosts should, for a reason. I didn't know what that meant yet. Actually, I didn't know much besides the 2 thoughts that were clearest in my mind. I couldn't now tell Nefret, and I had to go to the ritual. Hurrying to the rec hall, I tried to at least think positively. Maybe Aphrodite would not show up tonight or be there, but forget to harass me. It turned out, as my luck would have it, neither was the case. That is the end of this chapter. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.